been a bit too much response because people are shocked by the information. But anyway, let's not keep people waiting. Let's get straight down to it. Mount St. Helens, Oregon, United States. Yes?
Right.
It was first noticed or discovered on May the 19th, 1792 by Europeans. Yeah, the local people knew it, the natives. But May the 19th, 1792, it was first discovered by Europeans. I've sent you that. You've got that, yes?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So now the mountain, they turned around and said in 1980, they already had their camera crews and everybody ready, and they taped it under camera. They said it started erupting on May the 18th, and it stopped on May the 19th, 1980. First, it sounds yeah, maybe that's all normal, but let's take a deeper look into this, and then when you take a deeper look into this, it starts becoming suspicious. So now the thing is, when you look at the earthquake, yes, not earthquake, the volcano, Mount St. Helens caused devastation 19 miles around from the volcano. Yes, it was discovered on the 19th, it erupted on the 18th and stopped on the 19th, and it caused devastation, 19 miles from the volcano. So now, yeah, have you received the Wikipedia page? Have you received that?
Yeah.
Where it says 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens.
1980 eruption of Mount St. Helen. Wikipedia, the huge ensuing ash cloud sent skyward from St. Helens' northern foot was visible.
Okay, now
throughout
going
the
down
quiet zone.
to Life Science, I've sent you a new one. Yes, first they used miles, then they changed to kilometers, and then they turned around and said it sent clouds of ash and gas 19 kilometers into the air. So wait, this Mount St. Helens is discovered on the 19th. It erupts and stops by the 19th. It does devastation 19 miles, and its gases go up into the air 19 kilometers. Whoa! What do you think of that?
I mean, that's a lot of 19s.
Yes. So now when we think of these mountains, volcanoes, or whatever, the most famous, or one of the first that we all think about, is Mount Vesuvius in Europe. Yes? So Mount Vesuvius, according to historians, they say that it erupted in AD 79, or the year 79. So now let's check out this volcano. We're going to go through all the famous volcanoes that have erupted that historians talk about, the top 10 of them, the famous ones. We're not going to talk about, the small events. So now Mount Vesuvius, what do we find about it? It's erupted for 19 hours long. How the hell do they know how long this volcano erupted for 2,000 years ago? 2,000 years ago. Yeah. Oh, so it erupts for 19 hours. The next one shows. Now check this out. The volcanic gas, the ashes and all that went 19 miles into the air. Have a look. 19 miles into the air. Yes, it's becoming ridiculous. So now let's have a look. Now let's go through all the eruptions of the top 10 famous volcanoes in the last 200-300 years. That if people check this out and they go through the list, they'll find out, yes, these are the top 10 that historians talk about. So now, the most deadliest volcanic eruption in history was in 1815 while Napoleon Bonaparte was around, and it happened. It's called Mount Tambora on Sumbawa Island. Yes. Tambora. So now, when we look at this, now the thing is, because nobody knows where Sumbawa Island is, so all the scientific data that they'll give you is based on from 0-100 hours, and so this volcano erupted at 1900 hours. Yes, Mount Tambora. Yes, 1900 hours, which is 7 p.m. So now let's check this out. So it sends volcanic debris and ash, and it goes as far as 19 miles away. Yes, have you received that?
Right.
Yes, and then it causes 19 miles away. How the hell do they know this? 200 years ago.
Right.
Yes. And many things. And Sumba was, in the Far East. So now they're saying that this caused a flood, and the flood was traveled, went up to 19 miles. It caused a flood of up to 19 miles. So now many people say this was 1815, 1816, just after Napoleon Bonaparte, and they say this mountain caused the year without summer. So that's why this volcano's famous for historians. It's because they're telling us you can see the year without summer, the famous year. Many people try to connect this with Tartaria and the mud flood, but people haven't had a look at the details of these mountains. And then they say that while Napoleon Bonaparte was there in 1810, they say at this time it was the decade of cold. A decade of cold for a full decade, 10 years. So now then they turn around, historians say, we don't know what happened or why it was cold, but we think the cold started around 1809. And they say it happened. The cold started at 1809 because a mysterious volcano erupted in 1809. Yes? Yeah. So now the strange thing is, let's look at this mysterious eruption. Yes. So now this mysterious eruption, they're saying we don't know where this volcano is. It could be in the North Pole or the South Pole. This is how dumb this sounds. And then they say this unknown volcanic eruption in 1809. Yes, it lasted for 19 months. Have you?
Right.
Yeah, before from 1810, Mount Tambora is 1815. So the cold decade was caused because in 1809 they say this volcanic activity was from an unknown mountain for 19 months. Can you believe this?
19 months.
Yeah. So now they turn around and say, these cold decades. There was another time when it was very cold in 1883. So let's see why it was very cold in 1883. And they say that, this 1883, yes, the cold was caused by the eruption of Mount Krakatoa. Yes, and let's check out the scientific data of the year without summer was 1815-16, and another one was Mount Krakatoa. So now they're saying, so there was a full decade, people can't find no food, they're starving and dying, and so millions of people are dying in Europe. But no, Napoleon manages to find millions of men for his armies. Oh, but most men died at that time by the age they were 30. How old were his soldiers? Age 12? It sounds ridiculous. Yeah, and then they don't even speak German. Yeah. So now Mount Krakatoa, it starts erupting on 19th of May. 1883, the volcanic activity starts, and then it goes boom by the 20th. Yes, according to historians. So now that's not the end. So this volcano starts on the 19th. Yes, and then if you read the exact details, yes, you can go to the exact details, Britannica Encyclopedia. Because they say it erupted for a long time. Right. So by the end of May 1883, the activity had died down a little. But then historians have sent me Britannia Encyclopedia. They say that volcanic activity restarted on the 19th of June again, 1883. To calm down in August the 28th of that year.
Wow.
Yes. So now the next major volcanic eruption, for the top 10 volcanoes of the world in the last 2,000 years, the next major volcanic eruption is a mountain called Mount Pelee. Oh, that erupted in 1902. Yeah, it was 19 years after the eruption of Mount Krakatoa. Yeah, Krakatoa or Krakatoa. Yeah, so now Mount Pelee was the deadliest eruption of volcanoes in the 20th century. Oh, but it just mysteriously happens to be 19 years later after Krakatoa. Yes, so I'm sending you the information where it says, Wikipedia, the deadliest eruption in recorded history. Yes, one of the most deadliest. So now let's check out Mount Pelee. Yes, the volcanic ash. So now nobody's there to record all these things. They're telling us that today they know that it sent volcanic ash. It created a cloud that went up 19 kilometers into the air. Many of the particles went up to 22 kilometers, but it's on average 19 kilometers high in the air. Who the hell measured it? Who witnessed it? Who saw it? Where is this evidence? So now, what do we know about Mount Pelee? So now if you start to examine this mountain, do you know what they tell you? Oh, this is just ridiculous. Because these classifications, they've decided this. So it's up to you. They turn around and say this is one of the 19 active volcanoes of the Eastern Caribbean. They have decided this classification, and they've decided to classify that there's 19 active volcanoes in the Eastern Caribbean. So now, that's not all. They turn around and say, after 19 years after Mount Krakatoa, yes, do you know what they turn around and say? Yeah, they say 19 years later, Mount Soufriere erupted in 1902. But this volcano erupted many, many times during 1902 and 1903. And it was described as one of the worst eruptions in the 20th century. Now, Mount Soufriere is also one of these 19 active volcanoes of the Eastern Caribbean. Yeah, it starts becoming a joke when you go through these top 10 or top 20 volcano eruptions and volcanoes around the world in the last 2,000 years. It seriously becomes a joke. So now they say 19 years after Mount Krakatoa, yes, there's another one called Mount Santa Maria de Guatemala, erupted in 1902. This is one of the 3 largest eruptions in the 20th century, but it just happens to be 19 years after Mount Krakatoa. And they say this is one of the 3 largest eruptions in the 20th century after Mount Novarupta and Pinatubo. Yes, Novarupta is in 1912 and Pinatubo is in 1991. So now Mount Santa Maria de Guatemala in Guatemala. Yes, let's have a look at the details of this eruption. What do we find? Oh, this volcano erupted and it lasted for 19 days, one of the worst eruptions. It was for 19 days. So now this eruption is always compared, and they always mention that it's beside the Novarupta and Pinatubo. Yes, these 2 other volcanoes that have erupted. So now let's just go to Novarupta and have a look at Mount Novarupta's eruption. Mount Novarupta is in Alaska. They say it erupted in 1912. Yes, and they say, oh, it sent a cloud of ash into the air up to an average of 19 miles into the air, and many particles went beyond that. But it just so happens to be 19 miles into the air. Okay, let's finish this on volcanoes or people will get distracted. I'm thinking of the people now. So now after Mount Novarupta, there's Mount Pinatubo. It's in the Philippines. This was in 1991. That one sent 19, the volcano's first spectacular eruption sent an ash column 19 kilometers into the atmosphere. Can you believe this?
Wow.
Because people want to know the relationship. 1933, what is the relationship? That is a big topic. So it's not good to mix certain topics, believe it or not, or otherwise we'll get diverted. So now one of the worst volcanic disasters for a disaster was Mount Kelud in 1919. Oh, it just happened to be 19 and then 19. And then people in Indonesia, half the people were naked around at that time. In that location and many things, and they can't, and many of the people cannot remember the exact date, but these people know the dates. Yes, so it just happened to be on 19 in the year 19 and 19, and the calendar is the uses 19 as well. So now Mount Kelud erupted on the 19th of May. You see?
Yeah.
Yes. So it is very suspicious. So now let's look at the next one. Then we've got Mount Nevado del Ruiz de Colombia in Colombia was one of the worst volcanic disasters of the 20th century. So now what do we see? These professors, they choose if it's going to be miles or kilometers. They play around with that. So now this Mount Nevado del Cruz, it sent the cloud of ashes 19 miles into the air. It failed to do 20 kilometers. 20. The average was 19. Yes. You know, they know these people are so smart. Yeah, they've measured it, and you know, you can't question what they say. So now the thing is, now Mount Lower is said to be the biggest or largest volcano in the world. Yeah, and it's in Hawaii. So now when we look at this, according to them, yes, because they've told us Antarctica's there, and they've made the measurements of the Earth or the planet or the globe or flat Earth or whatever people want to say. So according to their measurements, yes, the biggest volcano on the planet Earth is located at 19 degrees north. Yes. So now when we go to the planet Mars, they're going to say the same thing. Yeah, they're going to say, hey, the largest volcano on the planet Mars is Olympus Mons, and Olympus Mons, yes, is also, yes, located at 19 degrees on the planet Mars. Yes, 19 degrees north. So, and they say Olympus Mars is the largest known volcano in the solar system. So now the thing is, if we want to go talk about kilometers, conversions, and these things, it's a totally different subject. Yes, how they're playing around with miles, kilometers, and things like this. It's like it's just a big joke how they are playing around. They're doing it on purpose. Yes, in the same way that they played around with the calendars. Yes, and they're choosing different figures and data as they wish. Yes, it's like even if they know that in England they use miles, they'll publish the news in kilometers on purpose. And if they know that in America, if they use kilometers, they'll say, hey, this was in miles today, even if it's on the news and the data. Yeah, so they're playing around it because they deliberately want to use this number. There's something suspicious about this number. I'm sending you an example. This is a copy from a page of my books. Now, this is how they are playing games. Yes, and I've shown in my book Napoleon did not exist, or Napoleon and the mud flood. For example, they turn around and say 66 knots, yeah, is equal to 33.95 meters per second. Have you received this page?
Right.
So 66 and 33 is connected. And then they will say that 33 meters per second is 74 miles per hour. So now 74 miles per hour is 119 kilometers per hour, or 911.
Yeah, that's all I mean. This is interesting.
It looks interesting, but the interesting part is, the real thing is, who created this data? Yeah, and why did they calculate it to fit into those measurements? Exactly. And they say, no, this is set, this is what I found, and this is it. But the truth is, none of us can say we actually know everything. We don't. We're trying to know. So now, a suspicious thing, it's just about the data and everything that's going on. A lot of things are suspicious. Like, for example, I'm not sure how many years ago, in 2013, yeah, it's been about 8-9 years, there was a comet or an asteroid or whatever they want to call it, depending on their definition, in Chelyabinsk in Russia. Yes, have you received it? Chelyabinsk meteorite, not a comet. They call it a meteorite. Now, this one, they say it weighed 1190 pounds, yes, or 1900 pounds, a fragment. Many of them say they can't make up their minds. So now the strange thing is, it's got 19 or 911 backwards, and 0 is normally silent in Gematria. Now, when you look at this Chelyabinsk meteorite, yeah, if you just look at the data, it's just ridiculous. That that they're just telling you a lot of garbage, yes. And the thing is, so they turn around and say, it exploded and broke apart 19 miles above the Earth's surface. Yes. When it entered the Earth's atmosphere, CNBC. Some people will say 18.5, some will say 19.5, but they generally say 19 miles. So now look at this Chelyabinsk meteorite. It's such a joke. They turn around and say the asteroid was originally 19 meters wide. Have you received it?
Yes.
Yes. Have you received it? It's just a
Wow.
joke. And based on its entry and direction and speed, how fast was the Chelyabinsk meteorite traveling at? This is what they're telling us. And they're telling us it was traveling at 19 kilometers per second. Can you believe this? Oh, it exploded 19 kilometers above the Earth's surface. You know, yeah.
Right.
Have you received it?
Yeah.
So the thing is, if some people are saying, you know, I'm just making things up, hey, they're just totally. The truth is, we don't know what that meteorite was. We don't know where it came from. Yes, we only a few people managed to capture it on video. You know, a few seconds before it landed, or you know, and they've seen it traveling. We don't know what it was. It could have been a military weapon. It could have been something else. We don't know what it was. So the thing is, there's more 19s, but those were the major facts. Yes. So now let's have a look at Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein or Epstein, you know, however you wish to say it. Now this is in my book, Illuminati Games. So now Jeffrey Epstein, yes, the courts indicted him, made formal charges on the 19th of July 2006 because they said that he was assaulting. Yes, you know, doing bad things to people. Yes, in his mansion in Florida. So this is what we know about him in 2006. Yeah, this Florida mansion I've sent it you. They demolished this on the 19th of April 2021 because people said, "Oh, we don't like this. We don't want it around, or maybe for redevelopment, whatever." Yes. So now the permit to demolish this building was granted by Palm Beach authorities on the 19th of December 2020. So now the thing is, if we look at the trial of back then, you know, back in the days when he, you know, what year was it? 2006. You know, when the original case started against him, Epstein. They turned around and said that there was a man called Jeffrey Acosta, and Jeffrey Acosta was the U.S. attorney at the time who handled the case. And he sent out a letter saying that victims are not going to be notified. The letter is dated 19th of December 2007. At that time, nobody made nothing of it, but notice they sent the letter at that date because this is part of their game.
Yeah.
So now, you know, many people noticed this, and then people said, hey, we're not having this. So in 2017, he became the U.S. Secretary for Labor, or the Labor Minister in 2017, and he was forced to resign on the 19th of July 2019. 19th of July, he was forced to resign because of the way he handled the Jeffrey Epstein case, because of the letter from 19th of December 2007, where he did not want to notify victims in the Jeffrey Epstein case, Epstein or Epstein, however you say it. So now this Acosta resigned on the 19th of July 2019. So guess what happens? Yes, he resigns. People, you know, they say, the media says people want blood. They want this investigated. Which people are they talking about? The media talks for themselves. So on the 19th of July 2019, an investigation was opened in Palm Beach regarding Jeffrey Epstein's release from prison. So then this turns into a new case. New charges are filed against Jeffrey Epstein. Is it Epstein? Have I got it correct now?
Yep.
And then the case, yes, the United States government decides to call this case number. Have you received it? 19 CRIM 490. The case number is 19 CRIM. Can you believe this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Jeffrey Epstein gets arrested in 2019 and he's put in prison. Yeah. And he's put under trial. So now he dies. Notice this mathematically. He dies in prison on the 10th of August. So then they file papers requesting that the case and the charges against Jeffrey Epstein be dropped because he's dead now. 19th of August 2019, the papers were filed. So now what does the district judge do? So they filed to dismiss the case on 19th of August. It's a big outrage. Yes, it's a bigger outrage. When he's dead, you know, people were saying, serves him right. Yeah, the media. Yes. So now 19 days after, Yeah, 19 days after he died, the district judge dismissed all the charges.
Right.
Yes, and they tell you 19 days after he died, because they want you to notice this 19. They are telling you. I've shown you how Wikipedia has written it. They tell us Wikipedia is written by you and me. No, when we write things, it's on the few back pages. Now Wikipedia is written by the people in power. The main pages are. So now what happens? People are saying, oh, Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. We know it. So what happens? The prison officers were arrested. Maybe they did something. They were arrested on the 19th of November, 2019. So that's in America. So in Europe, now if you come to the other side of the world, Jeffrey Epstein's, they're advertising it on the media. So because they want everybody in every part of the world to pay attention to this story, yeah, you know what they do? They say he's got accomplice. He's got a major accomplice in France. Jeffrey Epstein died in prison. So then they turn around and say there is a man in France and he kills himself. His name is Jean-Luc Brunel, and he is in prison, and he committed suicide by hanging himself in prison, and he died on the 19th of February 2022
right.
in France. Yes, so he dies on the 19th of February 2022. So now let's check this out. So now they want to make sure the world pays attention. Yeah, because people are following the media, Yes, yeah, brainwashed people. Yes, they believe the media. So the media and historians told the world that Monsieur Jean-Luc Brunel was arrested on 16th of December 2020. He was then charged on 18th of December. But nobody knows what happened. Yes, so the story of what happened to Jean-Luc Brunel after he was arrested, Monsieur, was told to the world by a news release made by the French government's prosecutor, Remy Heitz, Monsieur Remy Heitz. And they released this news on the 19th of December, or nobody would have known. Yes, so now they're turning around and saying Jeffrey Epstein's dead, and people are saying what's going to happen to his money. And then the media tells us we're not looking for it, we're not interested. The Washington Post, the New York Post, they are telling us saying, hey, Jeffrey Epstein's got a mansion in New York. It's 19,000 square feet. Yes, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. They're telling us if you received it. So now they're turning around and saying they've made many people pay attention to this Jeffrey Epstein case, and it goes on to Ghislaine. So what they turn around and say, what's going to happen to all his money? Yeah, So then they turn around and say, oh, the U.S. government tax people come straight away because are these people real or are they actors? Is all this money really there, or is the financial system a fraud in the world? So now they turn around and say $190 million was taken by the U.S. Treasury, as backdated taxes after Jeffrey Epstein's death. Or Epstein's death. Yeah, 190.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the thing is, people start paying attention to Ghislaine Maxwell because Jeffrey's dead now.
Right.
Yes. So this chap is dead. So now Ghislaine Maxwell, they turn around, they don't give these people's name. They said Jane Lowe has filed a case against her. Yes. And the media told the world in 2020 that Jane Doe has filed 190 pages of documents, or just over that. So who is Ghislaine Maxwell? So now the world starts talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. Who is she? And they say there was a boat called Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, it was her daddy called it that name. His name was Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell is a multi-billionaire who's from England. And the boat just happens to be 190 feet long. This boat was very famous in the 1980s. And the early 90s. People don't know this. So today maybe everyone's going to think this doesn't mean anything to me. But it's important. It shows how much garbage they've been presenting to the world 10, 20 years ago. So now Robert Maxwell was on this 190 feet boat, yes, called Ghislaine, and he was found dead there, yes, from the boat. Yeah, and the media tried to make people investigate things. Oh, he was murdered. Oh, Jeffrey was murdered. Oh, Robert Maxwell was murdered. They want you to listen to them. They want you to waste your time. So now Robert Maxwell owned a company called Mirror Group in England. Mirror newspaper, the Daily Mirror, is similar to the New York Times in England, you could say. Yes. So now the Daily Mirror published 19 pictures of Robert Maxwell the day after his death. Oh yeah, they published 19 pictures. Yes. Yeah. So and we're talking about what year was this? We're talking about 1991. So they've been doing this 19 thing for a long time. So now, as we go along with this Epstein and Ghislaine thing, so they've said that Robert Maxwell died, yes, at the time, and at the time they found a photograph of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, one of the oldest photographs, the media told us, of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and the photograph was taken 19 days after the death of Robert Maxwell. That photograph is famous. She sat there smiling or something, you know, and so the media advertised it, yes? So the thing is, so then they're trying to make people think about Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Epstein. Let's connect them all together. Who is Robert Maxwell? You know, if people don't know. People who are older, like my dad's generation, will know him.
Right.
They turn around and say Robert Maxwell became a British subject. You know, he became British on the 19th of June, 1944.
Right.
But he came from Czechoslovakia,
Right.
Eastern Europe.
And
Yes,
died
where
in
Mr.
1860.
Bond, at that time, Mr. Bond probably went there from James Bond when the Soviets take over. So he had to run, and he came to Britain, and he became British on the 19th of June, 1944. Yes. So now Robert Maxwell, he became so rich, he became a billionaire, and the highest riches he ever had was 1,900 million, or $19 billion at his peak. Have you received it? He was valued at $1.9 billion, not 19 billion. I mean, $1.9 billion, that's 1,900 million. Can you believe this? So now what do we know? Then they tell us this is what we know about Robert Maxwell. After he died, his business started to fall. Yeah, because obviously, you know, the stock markets and business, everything, it's a fraud. Yes, the people in power, the secret people, they know everything. So they say Robert Maxwell had to sell $1.9 billion of assets in 1991 to pay for debts. It was a major scandal at the time. This is from the New York Times, 1991. So now, when he died, Robert Maxwell's sons, Ghislaine's brothers, Ghislaine Maxwell, her brothers, get arrested, yes, for allegation of fraud, because everyone's saying, where did the money go? Actually, it's because these companies are not really there, like Facebook, whatever you want to call them, Apple, you know, all these companies, the secret people behind this. So now Ian and Kevin, Ghislaine Maxwell's brothers, were arrested on the 19th of June, 1992. They were arrested for allegations of fraud regarding their father's business empire. And a very long trial took place, and Robert Maxwell's sons were found not guilty, and the trial ended on the 19th of January 1996. So they were arrested and charged on 19th of June, but the trial ended on the 19th of January 1996, a few years later. People were watching this trial. At that time, that trial was famous. Seemed like the O.J. Simpson trial, and you know, what's that? Is it R. Kelly trials or Michael Jackson trials? It was one of them. You know, another one of these scams. So now, what happened is the media said people are not happy because billions of dollars have gone missing. But the truth is, you know, paper, they print it. Money, they print it. So money is artificial. Yes? Not like in the old world order. So now then they say that Robert Maxwell's sons, Ghislaine's brothers, yes, they tried to bring a second trial against him, but this was blocked and dismissed on the 19th of September, 1996. So it just goes on and on. Anyway, let's get back to Ghislaine. Let's not divert. There's so many 19s in that case. People can study it. Yes. So now Ghislaine Maxwell, the media is advertising. She pays $1,900,000, $190,000 for protection because she's worried people are going to beat her up because the media is talking about her. To hire SAS guards, $190,000. Yes. So now what do we know about Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes. That they selected the jurors for her trial. Yes, they selected the jurors, you know, jury. Yes, and the jury was selected for her trial, and they had the jury ready by the 19th of November, 2021. So now, during Ghislaine Maxwell's trials, all these people all around the world who are glued to their newspapers and televisions that really, really for them this is the truth. Yes, and yes, the media says we just found 19 photographs to show the close relationship between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and this was shown at the trial. It was so famous, the 19 photos, yes, of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Yes. So now what happens is, yes, there was a problem with the jury, with one of your, this is television media trial. Yes, many people just called it a show and a joke. So then the court said, hey, Ghislaine, you've got until 19th of January 2022 to apply for a retrial, but they didn't grant it her. So now Ghislaine gets sent to prison. And do you know what they tell us on purpose? And the average person doesn't know no US law. We don't know if it's true. We don't know how anything goes because, you know, the US law is interpreted according to different judges. But the judges and the jury in this trial, they said Ghislaine Maxwell was sent to prison for 20 years, but her trial sentence should have been up to 19 years, 15 to 19 years. But they decided to give her 20. But it's not the question of 20. They're telling you, for no reason they're telling you, she got 20 years, so what? But they're telling you, she should have got 19, but we gave her 20.
Our opinion.
Why the hell are they telling us these things? Yeah?
Oh my God.
So then they talk, I could go on and on, you know, Virginia Giuffre, all this and that, 19, all this is in my book, Illuminati Games. Yeah, but as you can see, yes, it's just very suspicious. Very suspicious. There's just too much of it that when people have a look at this, that they will turn around and think that this is just a big joke. Yeah, it's just one of the serious, worst jokes ever that it's hard to believe. So now let's have a look at one of the most famous things in the world, in case people think, hey, David's you know, lost the plot. Okay, we'll see if people will lose the plot after watching your video, Andreas. Yes. So now, here is one of the most famous events in the world. Okay, so now let's have a look at this Apollo program. This is from my book, Ancient Greece, or Ancient Greece Did Not Exist. I'm going through parts of it, but you know, there's so much of this. So NASA recruited 19 pilots for the new Apollo space program. Yes.
Yeah.
When they set up the program in 1965. Yes. So now let's have a look at this. Many people don't know. Many people don't know this. But the thing is, you know, you can arrive, like for example, you can arrive in England, yes, in Manchester Airport on the, let's say, 19th of January, but maybe you will get out of the aeroplane on the 20th. Yeah, because maybe they'll say you have to sit in the plane. Yeah, sometimes. Yes. So now let's see now. So they turn around, this is what historians are telling us. Yes, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin arrived on the moon on the 19th of July, 1969. Yes.
Yeah.
They set foot on the moon on the 20th. They didn't get out until the 20th. Yeah, but they arrived on the moon. They arrived on the moon on the 19th of July.
Right.
Yes. So now let's see what happened in the moon landings. So now, on the way to the moon, there was another astronaut called Buzz Aldrin and another one called Michael Collins. Now, Buzz Aldrin, yes, ate oatmeal 19 times on the way to the moon. Yes, and Michael Collins testified to it, and he said that too. So now, let's see now. Neil Armstrong, when he was selected to be an astronaut, yeah, Michael Collins wrote to his dad and said that Neil Armstrong will be one of the selected astronauts. He wrote to his dad on April the 19th. This was before the selection. So now when they arrived on the moon, they turned around and said, Houston, Houston, come in, Houston. Superman, come in, Houston. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Yeah, everybody's heard of these things. Let's see the fraud behind that. Yes? Now, when did they say this? They said, Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Yes? They said this 19 seconds, yes, after a 19-second exchange with Mission Control. Or 19 seconds, basically, after they landed on the moon. Yes? Can you see? After a 19-second matter of fact,
A bunch
Bunch
of
of
guys
guys
about
about
to
to
turn
turn
blue.
19
19
seconds.
seconds.
yeah, can you see it?
Yep.
Have you received it?
Yep.
Yes. Exchange between mission control and the lander, Armstrong announced. So it was 19 seconds later. But they make sure they tell you.
19.
They're telling you this information. It's not like I'm asking for this information. So now let's see now. Yes. So when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon, he said, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Whoa! Yes. Now, media and historians have told the world that the origin of these words were probably from the 19th of April, 1969. Yes, that Neil Armstrong was influenced by it, and he learned these words on 19th of April, 1969. I've sent you a copy from the Time magazine. They've reported this too. So now let's see. Neil Armstrong gets out and he sets foot on the moon, and he said that. What happens to Buzz Aldrin? Buzz, yes, is the second man on the moon, and he gets on the moon 19 minutes after Neil Armstrong. Can you believe this?
Wow.
Yes? Yeah. So as you're seeing, it's just a big joke. Yeah, this is not a 19, but I love this one. Yes, many people have seen this. Yeah, you can post this picture of the moon landing. Have a look at it. Yeah, have you received it? Yes. It's just a joke. Yeah.
1 second.
Why do we need cell towers every 3 miles? The president called the moon in 1969. Right.
Yeah. So the thing is, yeah, it's just a big joke. It just goes on and on with the 19s. Yes. So the thing is, I've given you an example just from Neil Armstrong because the thing is, people just they're probably thinking, hey, what the hell is David talking about?
Well, the thing, people can super chat, they can ask questions, all the questions that are super chatted after this video, we'll make sure that you see and get answered. So people have the opportunity to ask you questions and read your books.
Yeah, it's in my book, Ancient Greece, this thing. It's because now what this shows is, let's say they did really go to the moon. If they did go to the moon, they falsified the data. And if they didn't go to the moon, then they made up the story and they falsified the data. Right. Either way, the story and the data is a lie. Because it's impossible. There's more 19s actually if you just go through the full story that you'll turn out and think this is just ridiculous. So now the moon landings in the 1960s and 70s were very big. Same like September the 11th was big for people 20 years ago. Now many young people who've read my books, who are aged 21, 22, they don't know much about September the 11th. When they know that coronavirus is so big for their life, and when I tell them, no, September the 11th was so big for that time, it was like big news, like Epstein, Ghislaine. They say, oh, really? We didn't know. Yes. So the thing is now, why I'm saying this is because there's many people who are going to mention the hollow Earth or Antarctica, or there's a wall, or Admiral Byrd said that he went there and he saw this. Now, what many people don't know is that in the 1940s and 50s, the story of Admiral Byrd was the moon landings and was the coronavirus and was the September 11th news for that time. The media was advertising this story. Yes, many people don't realize this. So Admiral Byrd, I don't know if you've heard about him. Have you heard of him?
No, yeah.
He's an American?
Yeah, went to Antarctica. North
So now,
some videos on my channel.
So now when we look at Admiral Byrd, I've sent you a picture of who this guy is. Yeah. Now the full story is just like the moon landings. It's just like September the 11th. That these people, it's just a joke. Yes. So now when we look at Admiral Byrd's story, this is in my book Ancient Greece, or Ancient Greece Doesn't Exist. They say he was the first to fly over the South Pole in November 1929. Oh, this journey took 19 hours to complete. He flew over the South Pole in 1929, but he's telling us that he saw other land there. Hey, and he's telling us it took him 19 hours? He's one of these 19s. Yes.
Oh,
so now, but before he went to the South Pole, he became well known because he did his transatlantic flight in 1927. But you know, and how that story became famous because many people were invited to his speech and everything for his celebration dinner on July the 19th, 1927. So now he does his second expedition to Antarctica between 1933 and 1935. He leaves New Zealand on December the 12th. Yes, not a 19. Yes, all these are the numbers, they have meanings. Same like I showed you the relationship between 74, 66, 33, and 911 and 119. But we'll go through the numbers at another time because it's a very deep subject. So he goes back to Antarctica. Now, this time when he goes to Antarctica, yes, they arrive on the borders of Antarctica, yes, on the continental shelf, and they see the first icebergs, and it becomes famous because people are listening to this. It's on the radio and it's on the newspaper. They're advertising it in German and in English and in many other languages because at that time, English language didn't dominate the United States. And many people didn't buy newspapers. They've got no televisions. So it was a word of mouth thing to keep people busy in the factories. Yes, because they were slaving themselves off. So now they told people, on the 19th of December, 1933, he's arrived in Antarctica. He's on the border of Antarctica. And on that day, it's so famous, very important, because they say that he's taken his cows with him, and one of these cows gives birth to a baby calf. So now, this time, he's in Antarctica, and he stays there for 19 months. Yeah, 19 months on the ice during this expedition. Him and his team, they stay there for 19 months. So now his 1933 expedition, let's have a look at this. Yeah, right. Because in them days they were advertising the story for 10 years, same like the moon landing, same like September the 11th, they kept on talking about it. September the 11th, 9/11, George Bush, September the 11th, we're going to smoke them out, we're taking them out, we're looking for them in the caves in the hills, Saddam Hussein, weapons of mass destruction. They were just talking about Admiral Byrd, icebergs, Antarctica, North Pole, South Pole. Yes, so now they turn around and say, on his second expedition, yes, they turn around and say that the team of the second expedition, everybody was new, apart from Admiral Byrd and 18 men from before. So 19 men were there from the original team. So as you notice, the relationship between the numbers 74 and 33, yes, and the Quran mentions this 19 in chapter 74. Right. Yes, yes. So the thing is, all things are connected. So let's have a look at this Admiral Byrd story. Many people don't look at it. Admiral Byrd, he bought a wooden ship, a ship made of wood. Look at this garbage, made of wood to go through the ice. You know, ice is like glass. For his Antarctica expedition, the ship was called USS Bear. The Bear of Auckland, a wooden ship to go through the ice, and they tell you that the wooden ship was built in 1874. Yes, but this wooden ship is suspicious. Yeah, so I'll go through this more. So now this USS Bear, or Bear of Auckland, left New Zealand to go to Antarctic base to join Admiral Byrd. Yes, and it left New Zealand, and they're taking photographs, and they've got their big crowds. You know, their paid actors and the media crew. And it left on the 19th of January, 1934. Can you believe this? Yes. And then, yes, it came back to New Zealand, yes, and it went back again. But the major story was this, yes, that when its final arrival came back to base, it arrived back at the base on the 19th of January, 1935. Yes, and they're telling us it's a wooden ship going through the ice, and people are believing these stories. They're showing us this photograph. This photograph could have just been taken, yeah, you know, at wintertime in Chicago somewhere. Yeah, at that time when it was cold.
I haven't seen the photo.
You know what I mean? No, not Chicago. I mean in Canada somewhere. Yeah, I'm getting it wrong. Yeah, could have been taken in Canada. You know what I mean? Just look at that. And then they're telling us this wooden ship is going through the ice. So now let's check out. This became a very famous ship at that time. You know, same like nowadays, they're turning around and saying, you know, Osama bin Laden was so famous. He had his 19 children, and him and his 19 terrorists, yeah, they attacked him September the 11th. This wooden ship,
definitely in Antarctica.
You're not going to believe what happened to this wooden ship. What do you think happened to it? the ship sank on the 19th of March, 19...
Really?
Okay.
So it made it to the ends of the earth. It fought dragons. Sank on the 19th. Okay.
Yeah, when we talk about ships, September the 11th, 19 hijackers. Then we got Pearl Harbor, but that's going a bit too deep. You know, Pearl Harbor, they say 19 ships were sunk at Pearl Harbor. It's just the more you go through this, the more that you'll turn around and think this is one of the worst jokes or one of the worst, bullsteins I've ever heard in my life. And you'll think, I don't know how when people are there. They're believing these things, that the story of this, team of 19 men who went twice to Antarctica, and these 19, this 19th he flew over the pole, or he saw the hollow earth, or Agatha, blah, blah, blah. Come on, wake up, it's another 19. Same like Pearl Harbor, 19 ships got destroyed. Can you believe this? Yeah, if you go through the Second World War, and then somebody's going to turn around and say, hey, David's being a mathematician and he's quoting the Quran. Now let me show you what they turn around and say about Anatoly Fomenko. Yes? Yeah. Now Anatoly Fomenko, yeah, they turn around and say he's crazy, yeah, and then they turn around and say Anatoly Fomenko, is a Russian nationalist, and they're saying because he also quoted the Quran, and he showed, that there's more to history than we think to do with the history that's mentioned in the Quran and the Arabic language. Yes, so they turn around and say he's giving propaganda, and he's trying to link himself with Islamic nationalists or whatever. They're just talking garbage.
Yeah,
so now the same thing. I'm just showing you all this.
Fomenko has any interest in Islam is absurd.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's nothing to do with interest in Islam. It's because
right.
I'm the same like him, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm the same like Mike Ferreira. Yeah, and I'm just turning around thinking, hey, I'm alive. I've come to this place. People are telling me different stories. Okay, I had a Jewish background because I went to a school that's teaching Judaism practically with parts of Christianity. So people can say, you've got a Jewish background, David. Yes, it's a Jewish background that I've had. Surrounded by Jewish people, Jewish friends at school, many of the teachers were Jewish people. Yeah, so the thing is, obviously then, I'm going to turn around and think I'm going to look at something else. The Old Testament, I finished it by the time I was 12 or 13. Then I went on to the New Testament after that. I finished it. And then, when I was 15, 16, I met an Iraqi and I met a Palestinian. And it was a different world. And at that time, I turned around and thought, what are they talking about? PLO, Palestine, Iraq, Saddam Hussein. And then, so it was a bit of politics. Sometimes it got nasty. Because in them days, 20 years ago, people were a bit more ignorant, and there was a lot more racism in Western societies then. Now people hide it because there's a lot more regulation and civilization has progressed. I think many people have become better. But the thing is, I decided to read this Quran. So when I read it, it's telling you a story. It's telling you a different history. So I'm not just going to sit there and think, hey, it's telling you there's this number 19, go and look for it, and then you'll know who the liars are and who is telling you the truth. So I've just noticed this 19, and now obviously I'm going to realize the people who are using the 19, they wrote the history of Napoleon Bonaparte, they wrote the history of NASA, they wrote the history of Admiral Byrd, yes, and other things. Yeah, they wrote the history of science, these volcanoes and these mathematics. They are telling us, stay away from this book. They're making us think these people are crazy, this, that, and everything. Yes? So I thought, I'm going to go and have a look at that. Now, I've gone there and I found, hey, this is something interesting. It needs examination. We can't just ignore it. Are we going to pretend and say, hey, all this information is correct? Or are we going to say, this is suspicious? This is definitely suspicious. Same with the story. Somebody else, turned around and said, let's look at just Adolf Hitler. This is in my book, Adolf Hitler, and this is just a big joke Yeah, when anybody looks at the history of Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Now let's look at Adolf Hitler. He turned up after World War One. Yeah. Anybody who starts reading this, the major events, they're going to turn around and think, this is just a ridiculous joke. Adolf Hitler, he started to rise to power after he joined the German Workers' Party in the year 1919. Yes? And the thing is, Adolf Hitler, he was organized to become a spy for the German Workers' Party on September the 11th, 1919, and then he went out as a spy on September the 12th. But he officially became a spy on September the 11th, 1919. This is what we first know about his political activity. Yes, can you believe this? Now, now this is September the 11th, 1919. But that's the first thing we know about him. And then we turn around and think, so he's just come to this German Workers' Party. Where did he come from? So they're telling us he was a soldier in World War I, and he got injured. And what we know is that he was, he came out of hospital and released and started his new life. He started his new life after World War I on the 19th of November, 1918. Yes? So now Germany, yes, Adolf Hitler, he's joined a political party, has its first elections after World War I on the 19th of January, 1919. This is in my book, Adolf Hitler and Adolf Hitler and Islam, or Adolf Hitler and World War II. Yes? 19th of January, 1919. So at that time, yes, they are telling us that the voting administration for the voting count, yeah, that Germany was divided into 19 regions for the voting count, and the elections were on 19th of January. Yeah, can you believe this? Yeah. So the thing is now, so Hitler joins the German Workers' Party, and there's 19 this and that and whatever. So now Hitler, they're turning around. They told us a story. They call it the Beer-Hall Putsch, and he's getting involved in in the Beer-Hall Putsch, and they say he tries to hold a coup d'etat. Yes, and he gets arrested. Blah blah blah. And then the thing is, yeah, Hitler. What do you call it? Yes, Hitler was granted parole on the 19th of December, 1924. Can you believe this?
Wow.
Yes. So now, while he's in prison, Hitler starts writing Mein Kampf. Yes, this book. Yeah. So he starts writing Mein Kampf. Yes. And his personal copy, yes, was sold for £19,000 in 2014. It's a big story. It's on history.com. That they sold this, this Mein Kampf has got sold for £19,000. His personal copy. Have you received that?
Yeah.
Yes. So now the thing is, Volume 1 of Mein Kampf gets published on July the 18th, and it's released on July the 19th. Yeah, if you have a look at this properly. So now let's have a look at the number of Mein Kampf copies that were sold. Historians are telling us that it sold how many copies? 190,000. 190,000. Yes, and then they're telling us, they're saying manga version of this came out in 2009, and it had 190 pages. That's 190 pages. Yeah, it just goes on and on. The Hitler story is just full of 19. But now the thing is, the Hitler story has been falsified. So now I'm going to make this clear, because there's many people who have questioned the Holocaust, and there is suspicious data, and there is evidence to show that information and data has been falsified. But yes, and many people don't know this. By the hope of the grace of God, I'm saying this sentence because it sounds nice. Yes, if I live and if I have the time, I will write about it. But the majority of the Jews, yes, in Eastern Europe, who are based in Poland, Romania, Russia, and many other places today, there should be 50 million people, yes, of Jewish ancestry, just in places like Ukraine, Poland, and Russia, minimum. Who and these people rejected the Talmud, and they rejected the Mishnah and these so-called rabbinical books. Yes, and so they were just classified as just Jews who don't follow these regulation or books that are written by the people in power. And those people disappeared during the conflicts that took place in the late 19th century, and they disappeared in the 20th century, World War I and World War II. Yes, and many of their children and other people mysteriously today, they're Polish or they're Russian or Ukrainian or German. Now the thing is, many people will say, hey, we've studied some of these prison camps and the story of the Zyklon B, the gases, everything, it's suspicious. Yes, but let me tell people something. Yes, many of the photographs were falsified on many sides. There was a lot of propaganda. Now the thing is, people are going to say that whoever the Nazis were, whoever the Germans were, there were many things that took place that don't make sense. That when Heinrich Himmler, when he did the final solution, yeah, let me just show you. This is in my book. This is in my book, Adolf Hitler. When he did his final solution, let me see. Heinrich Himmler. Let me just find it. Yeah, because even that's a 1902. Yeah, he called it Operation Reinhard. Yeah, so let's have a look at this. So the information is dodgy and it's suspicious. But so let's see what they say. Historians have told the world that the deadliest part of the Holocaust was called Operation Reinhard. Himmler ordered, yes, the Operation Reinhard, the mass deportation of Jews to extermination camps on 19th of July, 1942. So now the thing is, I'm going to make this clear because I have found this myself, that the thing is, yes, people are questioning Anne Frank's diary. Yes, they are. Yes, that there's different writing fonts, modifications and everything, and there's the question of the gases. So now the thing is, yes, the thing is this. Many people are questioning this. So the thing is, and there's many people who deny the Holocaust or deny the official version of events of the Holocaust. So now when we look at these pictures, many people have questioned and said, hey, it seems a little strange Hitler was destroying his own infrastructure, whatever, and they're saying many of these pictures look like they're fakes or they're setups. This is from a Christian website. Yes, they have got a genuine case. Yes, because we do know that political sides, they do falsify information. Like people are showing these things and then they're saying, who the hell is going to do this and take a souvenir photograph at the same time while he's got a cigarette in his mouth? Yes, but the thing is, I started a deep investigation of the Zyklon B. I'm looking for it to show people. Let me just find the Zyklon B gases. And the thing is, let me just find it. The evidence shows that they killed a lot of people. They killed a lot of people because mysteriously we've got all these original Jews, or the followers of who followed the original Torah, and they followed the books of King David, and this is why we can find the history of the Sobor. Or in many churches they had a section called the Sobor, or there's the Zemsky Sobor in Russia. Many people don't know it, and this history, many people don't study it, but the Quran mentions saying that King David had a system, or he had something called the Sabur, and the thing is, nobody seems to talk about it. I'm looking for these pictures from World War II that where have they gone? It's because I wasn't planning to talk about this, but this is very important because many people will say, hey, there was no gases and things like that, and there will be people who say these things. But we've got a serious problem because there's all these people who you can call them Jews or children of Israel. They're Germans, German people in East Germany, and a lot of Polish, a lot of Russians, a lot of Austrians, and a lot of Hungarians. They followed the Torah. These people disappeared. Yes, in World War II. I can't find it. Yeah, I should have had this on my computer somewhere, but because there's too many pictures I've got. the thing is, yeah, here I found an example of some of these people who disappeared in World War II. Now, in Stalingrad, there were many people who went to the caves. Yes, and for example, here, have a look. Here is caves, and these are Russians. So at that time, the dress code, you know, for many people in Europe was still similar to the dress codes that's mentioned in the Torah, which not many people follow today apart from the Muslims. Yeah, and the thing is, I can't find it. But the Zyklon B thing, these pictures from World War II were very important because the Nazis themselves published these pictures. Yes, and the thing is, they took a lot of people, and many Eastern Europeans will verify, saying, "Hey, people from our family got taken to the camps," and the thing is, they were officially Jews. So now the thing is, many people disappeared. Yes, and many people were working in the camps, and then the people who couldn't work disappeared. So now nobody's got any answers for this. Now people were going to say, hey, they took these people to work, things like this, but we're talking about millions of people disappeared. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot, on many of these people's bodies, they found gas on their clothing. So even if there is the camps that people will go and visit today and say the doors are opening the opposite way, yes, and we can't seem to find the gas on the building, or there's something wrong, I agree with them up to a certain extent. But we've got a problem because there was many clothing, yes, that did have gas on them, and there is so many people in Eastern Europe who don't call themselves Jews, but who call themselves that, you know, who were brought up as Christians later by the Soviets or as atheists, and they can remember that, you know, people who escaped from the camps who said that they, you know, children who survived, who didn't die, who could work as slaves, who grew older, and said, hey, they were, you know, spraying gas on people. And the Germans were turning around and saying, not the Germans, I mean, many of these Holocaust deniers have said, hey, they were spraying this gas because they were trying to protect people, yes, protect civilians from dying from some outbreak of some disease. I've forgotten what it is. Yeah, you've heard this story, or you haven't?
Yeah, typhus.
Yeah, so, something like that. Yes. So now the thing is, but the thing is, yes, the way that some of these people who survived and who told their children and grandchildren, saying, oh, no, they were killing people, that they were putting chemicals and things like that, and they said that this is for your protection. And then the thing is, the people who couldn't work died. Yes. So now they did do the spraying of these chemicals. So now there is going to be people who are denying things. Yes, there is the case that the official story has got lies. But I think they created that official story on purpose. So that then people will think, yeah, there was only 5, 10, 15, 20 million Jewish people in Europe. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny, I think, how people deny, you know, like a number as large as 6 million, because 6 million is so little compared to how many millions, I think it's 160 million people that disappeared in that period.
Because this is the thing that many people don't realize, that people like, if people study the Aryans, and they will find there's a relationship to them, it's mentioned in my book, and the tribe of the Alaman. Yeah. That you know, Alemania and all these things, all these people, they were the followers of Moses. Yes, and what they've done is they've changed history in such a way that they have made Moses irrelevant in history thousands of years ago, or the prophet Moses, I should say, because one person said to me, saying, "Hey, there's many people called Moses." Yes, you know. There's some people, Jewish people, who said, say the prophet Moses, you know, then we'll know which one he is. And it's known as a sign of respect. So the thing is, many people will say, hey, David, in your book it shows, you know, that this is enough evidence to show that World War II, they've already changed the story. So now, Operation Reinhard, they start it on 19th of July, 1942. Let's see, when did they stop this extermination business of the final solution? Operation Reinhard was terminated on 19th of October, 1943. Yes? Man. Yeah, you can see. So now the thing is, somebody has done this on purpose. You know, and the reason why they're hiding what happened to, I don't call them Jewish people. I call them the followers of the Prophet Moses who followed the original Torah. And these people rejected the Mishnah and the Talmud because the way they're dressed, let me show you an example how some of these people were dressed in Europe, you know, in Austria, Germany, and other places, you know, and they got sent to the camps in France, in Holland, yeah, because many people, they don't know what these people looked like. We're imagining people, you know, people that look like Europeans today. Here is an example of, you know, even in World War II, look at these people. What do you see? That somebody's going to turn around and say, these people look like the women of the Middle East. That is what they look like, yes.
Yeah.
So now the thing is, they're following a system and code of rules, yeah, which is the original Torah, because they rejected the Mishnah and the Talmud. Many of them were Sabbatarians. The Sabbatarians are known, and the Sabbatarians, according to Wikipedia, whoever the hell they think they are, and according to the Vatican and other rabbis, whoever they think they are, they turn around and say, no, many of these Sabbatarians, they were French, they were Germans, they were not Jewish race by blood. Who are they to decide this? How do they know if they're Jewish themselves?
Right.
Many of them from Europe, yeah, many of them came from Europe, and they look totally different from the Jews in Morocco, or the Jews that are in Turkey, or the Jews that are in Iran. They look totally different, but then they're going to turn around and say that these people who got sent to the camps, oh no, they're not Jews anyway. So now these rabbis are saying they're not Jews. Yes, official historians are saying, yes, they are Jews, they got sent to the camps. And then the historians change their word and say, no, they're not Jews, they were Germans who got sent to the camp. These are German women, and they were Germans who were called Sabbatarians and other groups and everything else. Yeah, and you know, but they were followers of the Torah. Now the thing is, now this other history, yes, is mentioned by Anatoly Fomenko, and he mentions that these people, yes, they spoke Arabic. Yes, that in Germany, these people spoke Arabic, and they wrote Arabic on their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Professor Fomenko points that out. And now this history is documented in the Quran also. Now, just because somebody's going to turn around and say this history, does that mean that you know, Anatoly Fomenko is a Russian nationalist, or he's a Muslim nationalist or something? Now, imagine if tomorrow Fomenko marries a woman, you know, and that woman's an Arab. Are they going to say, see, I told you? No. It's because you can clearly see from this photograph that these people, somebody wanted them gone from Europe. They wanted them gone, and they wanted to remove this history. Right. It's clear because many people don't know. In 1923, a law was made by many European powers to throw the Muslims out of Europe. And in the Balkans, they did this. Now, in other regions, in the Balkans today, we've got many Muslims because the Muslims had a very high birth rate. So they mysteriously came back, or nobody thought they would be there. Yes. So now in Eastern Europe and in Central Europe, yes, they think they've removed the way of Moses. They think, but God knows where the future will be. So now the thing is, many people turn around and say, hey, what is Fomenko talking about? And many other people who've done research with Fomenko saying that, hey, Islam and was in Europe. Well, let's see the letter P, Europa, and they say the Pope Papa. He's not. Il est pas le papa de Monsieur. Il est pas Papa Monsieur. Like the Renault adverts, they say Papa Nicole. No, this is just a friendly way. They're trying to say Papa, but back in the days, the Pope was a gangster. He was the Baba, or Baba. You know, he was your dad. He was your dad. You got to listen to this man. Yeah, if you don't listen to him and bow down to him, you're a dead man. That's what it was like. The Pope had his militia. Yes. Back in the days. So now when Baba took power, to sound it better, the B became a P. So now he took over Europa, or Araba, Europa, and it became Europa. And at the same time, these humanists, call them Jewish or Masoretes, call them whatever you want, these people, yes, you know, they changed the pronunciation from A to the letter E. So Europa was Araba, and then it became Europa. they changed the pronunciation. So the original Arabs were Europeans. Europeans were called Arabs. I'm not saying that they were a race, because there's some pathetic idiots who like to who've not even read Fomenko's books or my books, or there's many other researchers who've seen this, that the word Arab and the word Rab or Rabbi or Rabbi, yes, was a common word in Europe. Like, for example, that if I saw you, Andreas, as somebody, as a fellow brother, yes, who's fighting against the people who want to dominate the world, who are trying to make the New World Order with the New Testament, at that time, the New World Order plan started at the time of the New Testament. That those people, they called each other and they would ask you, I will ask you saying, hey Andreas, are you a rabbi? Are you a rabbi? One of us. That's what it means, that you believe in this one God. That's what it was. So it wasn't a race as you know, how people see. And then the people who became educated and knowledgeable in this subject were called rabbis. And then the main language of this that these people spoke when it came to religion, especially, and Fomenko provided evidence for this. My book shows this as well. Yes, that the Old Testament, the Bible itself, the Old Testament, was written in this Arabi language. Yes, which is Arabic. Yes, and today, and many people think, this language came from the Middle East. Really? Go and stop somewhere. I don't know about in America, but in Europe, there's in France, they've got many of these Arabs who are from Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. Go and ask them, and they will tell you that the majority of the people couldn't speak Arabic 100 years ago. Yes. Yes, they spoke Arabic dialects linked to Arabic, but what happened is it came from Europe, the language, only in the last 100, 200 years. And now it's become the official language of those lands. But it came from Europe. It's because as they were throwing the Muslims out from Europe, yes, that the Inquisition in Spain only ended in the 20th century. That the Muslims, that's why there's a lot of European people in Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. If you go to these countries, you'll say, hey, the local people look darker, but these people there, you know, they look Germanic to me. Yes, people will know this. Yes, I've noticed this myself. Yeah, that you'll see that people there with green eyes, blue eyes, and you'll know that 10%, are from Europe. Yes, and they retreated. People will say this happened after the Inquisition started. Yes, in Spain. Yes, but the last few left after the treaties in 1923. So now that was with the people who were following the Quran. So what happened to the people who were following the Torah? The last few, the Holocaust. So the Holocaust, they're saying 6 million. I'm not talking about just the camps. The ridiculous things that they did. They destroyed all the farms. They burnt everything. Yeah, this is in my book, Orphan Trains. I'll send a few things. It was actually deliberate policy. It was the policy of the European governments. Yes, to burn and destroy, yes, the countryside. Yes, and corporations took over this land. Yes, corporations and nation states took over the land when they expelled the people. It was for security reasons, or saying, hey, you know, maybe he's German, maybe he's French, you know, maybe he's an Austrian. Yes, you know, maybe he's from the other side. Yeah, so, you know, they were burning village homes, pretending, things like that. It was systematic policy. Or, many people don't realize, it was urbanization. A plan to bring people into the cities, and then these nation states took over the land, and then when they burnt the homes, they burnt all the farms. Yes, many of the parents didn't make it, and they took the children with them. People can see this online and they'll think, what the hell were they doing in World War II? Actually, the German army, the Russian army, the British army, the French army, all the sides, what they were doing, they were just burning houses. They were just burning houses. It was scorched earth policy. Yeah, people can study this online because there's too much information about it that I've sent you. You know, this is World War I and II. Yeah, that even in between the wars, everyone thinks World War I and II, official history ended in 1919, then it restarted again. No, there was all these gangs, military gangs going around Europe, in Central Europe and Eastern Europe, burning villages, burning homes. Yes, and then another thing that's suspicious. Yeah, what is suspicious? Do you know? Sometimes I turn around and think, you know, do people have a brain? And you know, when you hear see these stupid comments in posts saying, "Hey, look at these photographs of people in the beach in Miami in Florida in 1960, 70. People were slim. What's happened to people? How come they've exploded? Yeah, and they've gone overweight now. Yes. So now the thing is, yeah, of course, nobody is going to want to listen to what the Quran says or what the Jewish people say or anything else. Now, this is very well documented, and many people, many professors in universities have written about it because they can't hide this. Yes, that in Europe, yes, even before the year 1900, I'm sending you an example, and people can download this. You know, this is a university study of pig breeding in Germany, yes, and in Central Europe, yeah. They couldn't find many pigs in Europe before 1900.
What?
There's many reports. Yes. So if there's not many pigs here, it means people are not eating pigs.
Right.
So what they did was they imported pigs mysteriously. The British found them. They're saying they imported the new pig races from England, and they interbreeded them. So it means people were not eating pig before then. Now, then they try and get, it was such low efficiency in the 17th, 18th, 19th century. And they're going to say this is because of vandalism. Was it because of vandalism, or was it because people weren't eating it? And now, mysteriously, after people started eating pig, we saw what's happened in the 20th century. People have exploded. It's become such a joke that now there's thousands of people who won't come out of their house because they're ashamed they're so overweight. You know this, don't you? I've actually got some friends like this myself that they can't even, it's difficult for them to walk and they don't want to come out. They find it embarrassing and it's so depressing. But the thing is, now some people will say, oh, what about the history of the 17th, 18th century? These fake wars, what are they going to... It's just fake history, fake garbage. Yeah, but the thing is, we can't find pigs in Europe. So what were the people eating? Oh, no. Yeah, the Quran claims that these people followed the way of Moses. Yes, and Moses said, don't eat pork. So now the thing is, they're going to turn around and say, the New Testament came and you can eat it. Yeah, Europeans have been having pig for centuries. Sure. Show me the proof.
Yeah.
Show me the proof. So they're going to turn around and say, they just got wiped out by, these wars, things like that. No, during a war, yes, what is so strange is that the Russian army, this is documented, and many people don't know this. It's not only documented, the documents, somebody will say it's not enough. But many families can remember because, World War II is not so long ago. Yes? So the thing is, and many people can remember that because it happened in World War II, people can remember, the old people in World War II can remember their grandchildren, their grandparents told them that even in the 1860s and 70s, yes, they were doing the same policy. Now, I've just sent you something, and this is what they were doing. Yes, the Russian military, the German military, what were they doing? They were the people lived in villages. People didn't live in the cities. They were sending their cartloads, yes, with their commissioners, female commissioners that went round with the Russian army, yes, and these women were going round taking children by force. They turned around and said, oh, you know how the Russians have put it down in their history book. Oh no, the women wanted to give their children away. Yes. Oh yeah, mysteriously these villages got burnt at the same time, and we've got photographs of them that they're burning the villages at the same time during these wars. So, yeah, they're burning the villages, yeah, and the fathers, yeah, the German army, the Russian army, the British army, the French army, all these armies are mysteriously killing all the adults. Of course, the truth is these dads were protecting their kids and their wives, and they wanted to kill these men. the women got raped by the soldiers, the dads got killed, the children were kidnapped, and the children were sent on boats to other places. You understand?
Yeah.
So this is what were these women doing? Yeah, this was systematic. They were selling these children. Yes, and these commissioners, the official commissioners, were rich. This was a business. Now, this is in my book, The Orphan Trains. Yes, yeah. So the thing is, many people don't know these things, and people just think that these children, you know, maybe they're clones and they did these things. But no, many people they've only focused on the Western side, and because in the West we have a selfish society, many people have not spoken to their grandparents and have not asked them, hey, what did your grandparents say? But let's say if you go to Croatia, Croatia is now changing since in the last 30, 40, 50 years. But before Tito's time, at that time when more people were in the villages, that people can remember what happened. That people remember that the Catholic Church was kidnapping children. Yeah. Now the Serbians are going to turn around and say these people were originally Serbian. It's nothing to do with race, but the important thing is that these children ended up becoming Catholic. Now we've got the same story in Albania. Yes, that they became Catholic, but nobody's talking about the Russian army that came to the Balkans and how the Serbs became Orthodox. Yes, it doesn't mean that they were Muslim, but it means that, hey, maybe they were the followers of the original Torah or the original followers of Christ. Now, a strange thing is the city called Moscow. Now, because in my books in Orphan Trains, I talk about this, about Moscow a lot. And now many people, yeah, they're going to tell you some crappy history, yes, saying that, the kings of Moscow, yeah, they were Christians. They're going to say Alexander Nevsky and all these, Mikhail Romanov, Ivan the Terrible, Ivan Grozny, Ivan the Terrible. They say all these kings, they were all Christians. But when you look at their crowns, I've sent you one helmet. Yeah, they've got Arabic writing on them in the museums. But and they've got verses of the Quran written on them. So the history of Russia doesn't make sense. And in my book in Napoleon and the Mudford, I've shown that the people who mysteriously took power, that they were speaking French. Yes, and in Russia we can't find people who are speaking modern Russian. Yes, 150 years ago. So now we found this strange thing with Arabic writing, and almost everything in Russia, almost all their old things in Russia, they found everything's with Arabic: the coins, the swords, the helmets, everything. There's just a bit too much. We'll have to go into that next time. But the reason why this is important is because Moscow, yes, if many people look at Moscow in Old Arabic or the language of the Bible, let's say in Old Hebrew, the word Mosa, comes from the word Moshe or Moses or Musa. Musa is Moshe, is the name for Moses. Moses is English. Not everybody in the world is English. Now the word means house or area. So Mosca means house of Moses or area of Moses. Yes. So this is why there was a lot of people in Eastern Europe especially, yes, who were the followers of Moses or the original Torah. Yes, that all these Eastern Europeans were more closer, but that doesn't mean the Western Europeans weren't. Yeah. So then mysteriously Russia is called Rus. Now you can't understand the word Rus unless if you look in the Quran. The word Rus means prophets. The word Ros Al, yes, means prophets of God. The word nation Al means nation of Al or nation of God. Yes. So many of these words came from Arabic, but people don't have a look. Yeah. How Arabic was, a major language in Europe a few centuries ago, the dominant language actually. So then we've got Ros, or it means Russia. Then the Germans, yes, they mysteriously say we're going to create the Third Reich or Reich, yes, the Frankreich. The German Reich. This means the German Rosh or the German prophets or the system of the prophets, because at that time, and the Quran even states this history, saying that the law in the world was made by the prophets, and the prophets made this law based on how they were authorized to do it as they were given by God. There was no man-made laws. Men's laws weren't allowed. Like, this is why they call it the Golden Horde. And you know, historians are going to say the Golden Horde was the Mongols that came from China and Mongolia and all these things. But it sounds ridiculous. It was called gold because there's all these golden coins that we found millions in Europe that have got Arabic writing on them. See, the historian story doesn't make sense. They're saying Chinese and Mongols have come, but they're called the Golden Horde, and they're using a golden currency, but the golden coins are all in Arabic, but these coins came from Baghdad. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the kind of stories that they're telling you sounds like a joke. And then the Russian kings have got Arabic on them, of all these golden coins. They've got Arabic writing on them that says there is no God except God, or there is no Lord or Master other than God. And then Moses said, you shall have no other Lord before God. Now, this is why the system of Moses was so important, and they needed to get rid of it. And this is when people can understand the Holocaust, or whatever ways they used to kill the people. And the Holocaust system of removing all these people from the system of Moses started centuries ago. Yeah, the 18th century wars, 19th century wars, and the truth behind the Napoleonic wars. Yes, it's all in my books. Yes, but the thing is, they say the Frankreich, the French Reich, because everybody wanted, and then in England they say Rex Britannia, R-E-X. Yes, you know, Rex means the reign, the ruler.
Right.
You know that word, Rex. Yes, or in India they will say the Raj. Yes, yeah. Raja, or the British Raj. Yes, Raj, because anybody who said I am the Rosh is saying I have the prophethood. This is why the Quran must be removed now. This is the only book that's left from the old world system, and they memorized it. Now the thing is, I noticed that in the last video you showed that there's the 19 code. That has not been verified. Oh yeah, it's on American websites. Oh yeah, the Americans discovered it. Oh yes, many colonial authorities have set the system for the spelling of the Quran, and based on their spelling, it shows 19. So this 19 thing in the Quran is ridiculous. It's not been verified. Yes, every book. Yes, the Bible also. Yes, or any book. You know, can have a mathematical code because languages are digital. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. Yeah, in the same. Yeah, you know, so languages are digital, but there are mathematical codes in the Bible. Yes, somebody's put them there on purpose. Yes, there is in the spelling code of the Quran some mathematical codes because the Jesuits have played around with the spelling, how they spell words in Iran, and they played around with the spelling. You know, when they invaded the Ottoman Empire. Yes, so the thing is they forced these systems when they invaded Egypt, you know, when the Jesuits set up the university in Baghdad, and then they sent the printing machines to print books in the Arabic dialects that they want, yeah, in the 20th century, and the rabbi of Baghdad was printing these so-called Islamic books, yeah, that have got suspicious stories about the Prophet Muhammad marrying somebody who's 6 years old, that has got suspicious stories saying, hey, you can marry a woman who's already married. Let me just show you some of these ridiculous things, yeah, because some people will have probably found it. Let me just show you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes? Ah, yeah. No, let me just show you. I think it's what will it be under, because many people are probably thinking, hey, in all the translations of the Quran, and even the Muslims who don't understand Arabic, half of them have said this too. Let me see. Let me just see. When you're looking for something, why can't you find it?
But yeah, anybody who enjoys these questions being answered. If you guys have questions.
No, there's a serious question because in many of these so-called translations it says a Muslim can marry a man who's a married woman and he can take her by force and marry her. Yes? And these are in all the translations, and many Muslims believe it now themselves. But you know, guess what? Many of these Muslims have never checked the Arabic themselves, and I thought I'd check it. And there's millions of views on all these YouTube things showing. Let me see. Yeah, there's some. I've only found one page. I can't believe it. 1st of October 2022. Oh no, I'm not sure where it is, but it was somewhere on my computer. I'm not sure. Let's see. Should be on the desktop thing. Yes. Yes. Why? Yeah. I think I'll find this because this is very controversial. Because there's some people who are going to say, "Hey, David, we've seen this online. There's many of these people. They've got millions of views. There's many similar videos, yes, of these people, yeah, who've become famous. God knows who's putting these people there. Some of these people, yeah, like for example, you can meet the average, you know, Turkish person in Germany. Many of them can speak Arabic because they've learned the Quran, like me too. I can state to you, you know, a Jewish prayer that you state in a synagogue, like Baruch atah Adonai Elohei Avraham Elohei Ishak Elohei Yaakov. Does this mean I know what that says? No, I can just repeat it. So now I've just sent you a page of somebody who's got a YouTube. Why I left Islam after preaching it for 16 years. And this man, he seems like a very good expert in Arabic and in Middle Eastern languages. He can read Arabic. But does this mean he can understand Arabic? Yes, so now in this video I opened it because many people are saying to me, David, what is this in the Quran? It says that you can marry a woman that you control by force and you can marry a second woman. And he say, and this man, I wonder who puts him at the top, because he became famous and millions of people got to know him, and he was claiming to be a Muslim for 16 years. He was on television a few times, and then he says, and now he's saying 100% the Quran is false, Muhammad disobeyed the Quran, blah blah blah, Muhammad with his son's wife, blah blah blah. Now the thing is, yeah, so now the thing is he quotes the verse in the Quran, and the thing is I checked almost every single translation that's available in English, and in all of them this is what it says in that verse. And married women, you can't marry a married woman except those whom your right hand possesses. It means you can't marry a married woman except those captives, you know, the woman who you've kidnapped. What the hell is this? So then I turn around to, okay, you know, because this can destroy Islam. If the Quran says you can marry I can kidnap Andreas's wife.
I have to.
And she's married already, but I can marry her now because I've kidnapped her. Yes, this is a serious thing. So you know what I did? I thought I'll open up even a Quran dictionary. Even the Quran dictionary was suspicious. It turned around and says, I've circled it in red. Do you know what it says? It turned around and says, and prohibited, in brackets, the ones who are married of the woman except whom you possess. It says the same thing. So I thought, word for word. So then I thought, I will check that word. You know me, it's like if somebody is going to say to me the word, bonjour, monsieur, in French means get lost, my darling. I can believe that, or I can think, I will check the dictionary. So bonjour, if I check it, it means hi, how are like this bonjour, and monsieur means Mr. So I'm one of those people. I thought I'll check. So I thought I'll check that word myself in that dictionary website. So now that dictionary website, even that website is suspicious, because even in that word-for-word translation is giving you a false translation for the word musanat. Now I've just sent you a new page, and it shows the word musanat says that you can marry. The word musanat, it means you can marry a woman who is free and good. Have you received that page?
Mm-hmm.
Have you received it?
Right.
Except for that chapter, they've translated it as, oh, you can marry except the ones that are, you know, the ones that you've kidnapped. Can you believe it?
Whoa.
They've translated that word in every place in the Quran to say it's a free woman who's a good woman. Chaste is like the upper class version of a good, or a woman who's not sleeping around. Can you believe this?
Right.
That they've even forged the translations.
That's
Even the Muslim translators themselves are doing this. And then you've got some guy coming on there, yes, that when he's speaking Arabic, yeah, this is why I turn around and say to people, read the books. Check everything yourself. Don't just believe me. Yes, like this man, he made a video. Yeah, there's millions of views. He's got other videos. There's other similar men. They're going out there and saying, hey, Islam says this, Islam says that. Check it yourself. And even if the translation says this, the Jesuits organized the first few. Then after that, Muslims have just updated the translations. The Muslims themselves haven't checked it, I'm sure. Most of them haven't. I asked many Muslims myself, and I couldn't believe it. And then I thought, hey, I'm just going to do a bit of a word search. And what do I find? Yeah, can you see, Andreas? They've just invented the translation of one word into a full sentence of brackets. The last 2 pages. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's like I can make my own translation and say, bonjour, monsieur means sod off idiot. Yeah? I can tell somebody and say, when you go to France, if anybody says bonjour, monsieur, hit him in the face straight away. Because he's about to attack you. No, because he's just said sod off idiot to you. If you don't hit him, he's going to pull a knife and he's going to steal your mobile phone. I can say that to somebody. So this is in the same way. What they are doing is a crime. It's a crime. It's a very mega crime. Because these people, whoever they are, maybe they're doing it, maybe they genuinely believe it. Or maybe somebody's learned a bit of Arabic and they've not even checked it. And then, yeah, even if they reply to it and say a million things, I'm not an idiot. I know how to pick up a dictionary. I've studied many languages, and I've seen it. That word says you should marry a woman who's free and who's good. Yes? And the women who you can't marry, except the ones that you control. Marry the free women, except the ones that you possess. Now, the word possess, what does it mean? Now, my family are business people. Now, you don't laugh. When I was 15, there was a woman who's a gold digger, a secretary in one of my father's companies. Now, she's a divorced lady. She was 21 or 22. And in those days, for my age, my pocket money for the weekend was similar to her salary for the full entire week. I'm being serious to you. On the weekend to go out with friends, you know, after school. Yes, after high school. So now, you know, in those days when you're a kid, you fall in love. Yes? I fell in love with her. And she's saying she wants to marry me. And my dad used to say, hey, you can't marry her because you've got power over her. I said, what are you talking about? So in the Quran it doesn't say certain things. Now it says the people that you have control over, yes, marry a woman who's free. Now imagine I've got control and power over a woman and she's working for me. How can I marry this woman? Or are my parents and everybody else is going to say, she's a gold digger, she married the boss. This is the natural story. So now the story there is saying, yes, that you should marry a free woman except the ones that you possess. Well, they've changed it backwards. Yeah? You know what I mean? So even my father said to me saying, hey, don't get involved with any of the workers who are working in the company because, you know, many of them won't have the right intentions. Yes. So the thing is, have you noticed that in the translation yourself?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy.
So then what this guy does, he quotes documents. Yeah, he quotes documents saying, this is confirmed by the Prophet Muhammad said this, the Prophet Muhammad said that. Oh, these books were printed, yeah, by printing machines that Jesuit organized companies sent to Baghdad. Yes, and they were distributed after they went to those printing companies. The Rabbi of Baghdad controlled it. Oh yeah, who are the descendants of this Rabbi of Baghdad's family today? I forgot. They're a very wealthy family. They made so much money selling these religious books in the Middle East. They were selling different sectarian books and stories of the Prophet Muhammad. And today they own the electricity grid of Hong Kong and many power stations in Hong Kong and South China. Geez, they made a lot of money out of this.
I mean,
they've got British
Bible's the
nationality.
best-selling. This is the Bible's best-selling book. It's like, well, yeah, what a racket.
The truth, they weren't selling. This rabbi's family weren't selling Bibles. They were selling Islamic books in the Middle East. So there's other types of business. But anyway, so the Golden Horde. Let me finish this. There's all these Arabic coins, through in Northern Europe. They are European coins. They're not from Arabs in the Middle East who couldn't even speak Arabic 100 years ago. Yeah, many of them spoke dialects related to Arabic. Yeah. And so now these golden coins, can you imagine today, many people are saying, oh, no matter how much I work, when I buy my house, I have to pay the bank more. But the thing is, the money value, I saved £1,000, and 10 years later, the value of this £1,000 has gone down. Oh, yes, the golden horde, yes, of these so-called coins from the time of the Prophet Muhammad, or even Moses, that the Jewish people were speaking Arabic for centuries, yes, and in Spain, the so-called Arabic civilization, was this really Arabic, or was it Araba, the Europa, civilization of Europe? It was a European civilization, yes, and the Jews were there; they spoke Arabic. So now these so-called Arabic coins, they were in gold, and if this system survived today, then you know something, yes? Gas prices go up, so does the price of gold. You don't care. It's not affected you. You've got $1,000 in gold or 1,000 euros in gold. You survive. You don't feel anything. There is no such thing as an economic crisis. And these so-called Arabic coins that say there is no God except Allah or the Alpha and the Omega, or that you shall have no other God except God, has got no kings, no queens, no ministers on them. On the older ones, and many of them mention the name Musa or Moses or Harun or Aaron. It's very suspicious, what this currency system is. But the thing is, this is the system that they were fighting. And now the Quran mentions this history and mentions this history. Now, anybody who reads the Quran is going to think, damn, the Quran says that the Prophet Muhammad declared this holy war, what they call jihad, yes, against the bankers and anybody who set up any economic system that was opposing this. Oh yeah, the Quran is your enemy. Okay, carry on with your photocopying your dollars and your euros, and carry on photocopying your pounds, yeah, and keep working and working. And while you're working, the price goes up. It means nothing. Yes, it means nothing. And then be a student, go to university. Yes, carry on doing this. And all these people who are saying, hey, we are trying to change the world system and contributing to the world. And then they're claiming that this book that quotes another history, and then professors like Anatoly Fomenko, who mentioned this book, and people like me, we are the enemy. I've noticed how people commented this time because I openly mentioned this book. Yes? Then do you know something? Carry on enjoying your system. And do you know something? Yeah? Some of these Muslims have actually said this. It serves them right that the gas prices are going up. Serves them right because they don't want this alternative system. It serves them right because they are turning around and saying, hey, we sent these golden coins there and we didn't. That was their coins. It was the European ones. Yes. You know what I mean? Okay, if you don't want it, yeah, keep your dollars, keep your euros, keep your British pounds, keep your whatever currencies, yeah, your Russian rubles, and you're being played around with these people are foreign copying things. Carry on, yeah. These people have got their 19s. Carry on believing these things. And the thing is, the last people who are going to join these systems go to the villages in, just go to Libya. Who's refused to join the economic system, who don't want this photocopied paper money, these people are still fighting for their own system. This is what really happened in World War I and II in the villages. That is why they needed to get rid of these so-called Jews, or the children of Israel, or these so-called Christians who followed the original evangel or angel. Some people pronounce it evangel, but in Greek or Latin or the original language, it's angel. Yes, the angel and message of Christ. Yes, so these people followed it. They got rid of them. Yes, when you look at their dress codes, they're wearing the similar things like the Muslims, and then people are going to say, "What's he talking about, David?" Well, come and produce your proof and show me were these people eating pork. We can't even find these pigs in Europe. Yeah, we can't even find these German languages and French languages, Russian language and Spanish and English language and Italian language 200 years ago. Yeah, we can't even find this history that the church has given us, that the people were following these religions and things like this. Yeah, and Anatoly Fomenko has shown it, and many other professors. Yes, that that there was a totally different system. And then you've got so many videos that are wasting time saying, "Look at this building, it's amazing. Look at that, it's amazing." Okay, carry on for the next 20 years. Carry on watching them. Yeah, carry on watching them. Yeah, carry on wasting your time. What did you gain? What are you going to do to change society? Just wait another 100 years when they bring in this digital dictatorship and the microchips. And yeah, there will be a few people who are going to resist. Yeah, and a few of these religious people who are going to think we're doing it for Christianity or for Buddhism. Our religion mentions it, a bit of a thing. But everyone knows that it's going to be these Muslims who are going to be the biggest resistance. Everyone knows this. Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know something? I've heard it from the Americans before and many people in Europe. These people are a waste of time. They're uneducated and backwards. They don't want to learn this 19 history about Napoleon Bonaparte. And they've got a message for me. They've said to me saying, do you know what they say to me? Keep your Napoleon, David. We don't even want to know. Yeah. I'm from Europe. They said, keep it to yourself. Keep your garbage. Keep your garbage. And they're saying, keep your, keep your 19, keep your moon landing. Borders. Who set these borders? Yeah. And do you know what? Yeah, guys, when you want to run, when people wanted to run during the lockdowns, you couldn't run because of these borders. Enjoy your borders. Yes.
Right.
And the Quran speaks against these borders. Oh, yeah, and another thing. When they're going to bring in the digital dictatorship and the microchips, and you all know it's coming. Yeah. And the Quran spoke against it. People can say the Bible spoke against it too. So did these other religions. Yeah, come on. God became a man on the 19th. God jumped out of his grave on the 19th. This is in my book, Napoleon and the Mudflood. Oh, yeah, we can prove it to you. We've got 19,000 copies of the New Testament that are not written in Greek. Everybody knows what all that's about. Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ was, baptized on January the 19th. Easter falls within, it was originally within a 19-day span. Now they've focused it on the 19th of April, but then they'll choose the Sunday that's the nearest. Come on, I am no idiot. Oh, this doesn't mean that I'm saying that the Quran is from God. I don't know where it's from. But what I am saying is that this document has been fighting the New World System. And I've not seen any other document that has been fighting the New World System for the last few hundred years, apart from that document. Yes. And the way this document speaks, it is speaking directly against the people in power. It talks about them, their plots and their plans, and it says what they're doing. It even says many of these people have been, that their lives are longer than our lives. It says you and me, Andreas and me, David, we've got a normal lifespan. It says those people are living longer. It says this, that God has extended their life. It doesn't say how many years, but maybe that's why they can plan, 50 years ahead with all their plots and their schemes.